Welcome to this episode of RTO Insights. It's being brought to you by APRO, the Association of Progressive Rental Organizations, the National Trade Association for the Rent-to-Own Industry, and it's sponsored by Rent Direct, a division of Nationwide, the country's largest retail buying group. The topic for this episode I'm entitling Stepping Stone Rentals. I always thought that would be a good name for a rental store. I Googled it, and there are a couple of vacation home real estate rental companies that use Stepping Stone, but there are no TV and appliance furniture stores that use that name, and they should. The gist of it is like the theme song from the old sitcom The Jeffersons, we're moving on up to the east side. Much is made of the scourge of poverty in America, and much has been made over the last 50 years. There's a whole industry that has arisen around poverty. It's the poverty industry. It's full of writers. It's full of consumer advocates. It's full of politicians. And it's full of businesses that do business with poor folks. Those businesses are regularly pilloried for doing so, doing business with poor folks. It's the whole subprime world. The payday lenders, the buy here, pay here guys, the pawn shops, and yes, the rent-own industry. Ever since President Johnson declared war on poverty in the 60s, this industry has been growing. To date, the government has spent $12 trillion fighting the war on poverty. Guess what? There are still poor folks in America. If you read the consumer press, their plight is worse than ever. And the reason is because the government hasn't spent nearly enough money fighting the war on poverty. Consumer advocates argue that the system is rigged against the poor, that capitalism is the culprit because it creates winners and losers and is therefore unfair. This is from a crowd that wants every child to get a trophy for participating. They want to outlaw competition in the schools where they can. They want to run soccer matches with no score. They want to have basketball games where the players don't keep score. And the result is becoming a generation of snowflakes and who need safe spaces and dolls to play with and the assurance that they're not going to hear unpleasant thoughts directed their way. The poor, however defined, is not a static population. Everyday people are bettering themselves, they are rising out of poverty, and at the same time there's a smaller number that are falling back into poverty, either through bad luck or through dysfunctional self-destructive behaviors. It is worth looking at just what being poor in America means today. In a fairly recent study, a typical family defined as poor by the government has the following. They've got a car. Their dwelling is air conditioned. They have 2 color TVs. They've got cable or satellite TV. They got a DVD player, a game system, refrigerator, oven and stove, microwave, washer dryer, ceiling fans, coffee maker, and one or more smartphones. Some might say that was high stepping. They are nonetheless poor in America because of their income levels. And yes, the RTO industry does business with people who fit that definition, who fit the definition of being poor, although that is not exclusively the population of RTO customers. And in fact, the industry is providing a lot of the products that I just listed to these folks. Instead of being criticized, the RTO industry ought to be praised, ought to be thanked for providing those, figuring out a way to provide those services, those goods and services to poor folks, but current politics does not permit that. There are a number of RTO customers that come to the industry who do not fit the definition of being poor in this country, but they are instead credit challenged or have blemished credit. They have done something to cause them to have a low credit score. I don't know if there is a financial responsibility gene in human beings that's simply missing in some people, or whether the talent for financial responsibility can be taught and learned, and it probably doesn't matter. There are those people who don't pay their bills on time and for whatever reason have messed up their credit. RTO can actually help them, thus stepping stone rentals. The way that this can be done is that RTO customers can get products that they really want, really need, with regular weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly payments. And then they have the structure of a nurturing but disciplined relationship with the store that can help keep the customer on track and can show a stable payment history. Now, while the big three consumer reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, have so far had little interest in accumulating payment histories from RTO companies, there are scores of subprime consumer reporting agencies that are happy to take those payment histories and, depending on the payment history, can help consumers improve their credit standing. Customers make steady payments, pay off a unit or two, and they've improved their credit worthiness. The buy here, pay here car lots market this concept like crazy. They tell their customers, come in, buy a car from us, make your payments here, pay it off, your credit rating will improve, and the next time you can go to the new car dealer and get your brand new car. I want to caution dealers to be careful. You do not want to guarantee or promise that making steady RTO payments on time is going to improve your credit, because RTO customers can and do make regular RTO payments at the same time they are defaulting on car payments and having cars repossessed and being evicted from their apartments. So the best RTO payment history in the world is not going to improve those customers' credit. What you want to say as a part of the RTO package is that making steady, reliable payments to an RTO to an RTO company may help you rebuild your credit. It's just another benefit, another beneficial feature of RTO, a stepping stone to a better, more financially responsible life. And remember, treat your customers like royalty. They deserve it.